How's it going, Jemi's World is here. Yes, we are here and back with another video. I am giving you guys my December reading wrap up. I read 3 complete novels and 2 novellas. We're gonna get right into it. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for all notifications and let's get into it. So the first book I started with in December was a book that I started and I needed to complete, like it was mandatory. We have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is the first book in the Harry Potter series and it goes without saying, I gave it a 5-star. It was very good, very imaginative. I had fun reading this book and I'm definitely going to be continuing on with the series. I'm not sure when because it's something you got to really dive in and just like be engulfed into. But I will definitely be continuing the series. Harry Potter is definitely somebody who is on my list. This book is for people who are older, who are trying to get into fantasy, as well as younger kids who are trying to get back into reading or their parents are trying to get them into reading. This is a very fun, creative, imaginative, gets the kids off the internet and just gets them back into a different space mentally. I feel like it was a lot of challenging parts in this book that I was just like, okay. But overall, it was a very well put together story and it will continue on after this book and it leaves you in a cliffhanger. Sort of. So I will definitely be continuing on with this series and I can't wait to see what's going to happen after the first book. The next book I got into is called Luster by Raven Leilani. This book is about a young woman who is trying to battle in her 20s. She meets a guy on the Sugar Baby website and he is married, but she is just in his life as a transactional type of setting. The wife is planning out when she chooses her husband to be with the Sugar Baby or not, what she feels like is okay, like what boundaries she wants to set in their type of transaction. And the main character in this story is in her 20s. She is battling real life. She's living in an environment that she doesn't want to be in. On top of that, having some health problems and just trying to figure out her 20s. This book is a women fiction novel. I rated it a 3.75 star. And I think this is a book that's very interesting. It gives you some history on where her parents came from, how she got to where she's living, why is she in this space, the dynamic between her and the husband, as well as the wife, and a couple other elements that I did not expect to come in. Was very, very interesting. And this is my first like women general fiction book that I've ever read. And I had a good time with it. It was very interesting initially. It started to get deeper into certain elements that I wasn't expecting. Then it started to take a turn that I was like, okay, is this gonna go this way or is it gonna just be like dull? It ended up being like okay as the book progressed into the end. I would still recommend people to read this book. It's very funny, very interesting, very like coming of age in your 20s. I would definitely recommend this to young women who are in their 20s, as well as older people, just to see the transition through the 20s that they've already went through, or just to have a little bit of fun because it's some fun elements in here as well. And yeah, overall, it was a good time. After the second book I read, I got into a novella. This is by one of my favorite authors now. And this book is called The Grown Up. It is by Gillian Flynn. Every time I read a Gillian Flynn book, she is giving me some complex writing with new words I've never heard of. And it just puts me in a space where it's like, okay, I need to go look this up. I love how she describes things. I love how she describes settings, people, how she feels in stories. Like, she is literally incredible. The Grown Up is about a young girl who leaves home at 16 and ends up finding a job at this fortune teller business, and this business is not a regular business. Out the gate, when I first opened this short story, mind you, it's 62 pages, okay? 62 pages. First sentence had me like, bruh. It had me literally like, what is going on? And yes, I'm going to keep reading. This book was funny, witty, educational, interesting, had me in for a loop, twists and turns, and it was only 62 pages. I recommend someone who is into weird girl fiction to read this. This is something that's out of the ordinary. Check the trigger warnings. If you're not into this, then I don't recommend it. But if you're into something that's fun and that's weird vibes for like the weird girlies like me, then definitely pick up Grown Ups. I rated this book a 5-star because it was something in between these stories that had me hyped to keep reading after I finished. It's like, oh, I need to jump into another book. This got me like my momentum going, you know? So I would definitely recommend this book. Again, Gillian Flynn, 10 out of 10 every time. After the short story, I got into an arc that releases April of 2025. We have Fair Play. This is by Louise Hegarty. This book is about a murder mystery party. The female main character in the story threw a birthday party for her brother. His birthday is on New Year's Day, and she invited everyone. She coordinated the whole thing with the ideas and everything. And a lot of these characters in here have not seen each other in a very long time. This book is a who did it and why mystery, and I would say initially it had me like, ooh, murder mystery party sounds pretty interesting. But it turned into an actual murder the next day. And now we got to figure out who did it and why. Initially, when I got into this book, I was excited because I have not read a mystery book at all in this type of essence. And it made me like kind of excited to figure out who did it. And then once I found out, would I be shocked? Would I be like, oh my gosh, how did I not see it coming? It did not give me that gasping feeling when we got to the reveal. Overall, I rated this book I feel like I rated a 3.25 star. Make sure you guys, again, follow me on Goodreads. That is where I do all my reviews in real time. And I would say this book overall was okay. It wasn't fantastic. I could see people that really would enjoy this book a lot. So I still would recommend it because it could be some elements that I did not really feel like mattered or didn't understand, that some people would be like, okay, that's a good clue. That's a good clue. And I am that detective type of girly. So I was actually sad when it didn't give me what I wanted. Fair Play comes out in April of 2025, and make sure you guys look out for it because it might be something you will like. And finally, the last book I read was a novella after that long, dense mystery book that I did not 1000% enjoy. We have Paradise. This is by Fernanda Melchor, and this book is so heartbreaking, very necessary. Check trigger warnings. This book is about a young boy. He is obsessed with his neighbor and thinking of doing stuff that should not be thought of as a young boy to her. And then the other male main character is his friend. He works for the gated community called Paradise, and he wants to quit. He's tired of working there. He's tired of people like bossing him around. He's tired of living with his mother because she is just super hard on him, telling him he's like, oh, you don't do anything. You're lazy, da da da. He lives in a certain community that is not the best, and he goes to this community to clean and sees how they're living, and he feels like maybe if I try to get what they have, I can just like dip out and move on and do what I want to do and get away from my mom and my annoying cousin that his mother let move in without even considering him, and she took his room. They're just going through some teen stuff, right? Like they're going through teen stuff, but it's in a certain type of community that is not the best environment for them. This book is very challenging. Initially, it's a lot of graphic, very vulgar things. So I would check trigger warnings. I wouldn't recommend this to everyone. I would recommend this to people who really don't have problems with those type of things that teens say, or like a lot of things like drinking and smoking and stuff like that. As the book progressed, it's only 112 pages, I believe. As it progressed, it got very, very dark, like very dark, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't even know how to rate this book at one point because I was just like, how do you rate an experience like this? This is insane. Like, it's very, very challenging. I believe I rated it either a 3.75 or a 3.5. Again, my rating is on Goodreads. I cannot remember, but I know I didn't rate it higher than that because it was just something like, at some point, I feel like it was just like dragging along, and it was just showing elements that they kept doing. And I feel like it was like repetitive. And then once it got to the parts that I didn't expect it to get to, it showed me like, wow, environment, how teens think, how much their parents are not around to really guide them and teach them can really push them onto a dark path if they let it, right? Overall, I would say check trigger warnings first. If you don't feel weird about the trigger warnings that you read, then I would say go into this. This book is dark. This book is heartbreaking. It's terrible. It's like, it's just bad. Like, as far as like it's not bad as far as the writing. The writing was very well put together, and the descriptions of everything was very well put together. Like, Fernanda Melchor, she did an astounding job as far as describing things in a very like unorthodox and like literary way, but I would not say this book is for everyone. So again, please check trigger warnings before you read this. So that's the end of the books I read in December. Let me know in the comments what books you read in December. What was your favorite book out of this stack? If you've read any of these in this stack, and see you guys again soon.